Hello, my name is Jacob, and today we are going to be doing a custom Shadow Mewtwo Amiibo. We will be turning this Mewtwo into a Shadow Mewtwo from the game Pokken Tournament. First step, get your ingredients. First up, you need acrylic paint, black, the darkest that you can get it, orange, and yellow. You'll also need a good paintbrush, a Shadow Mewtwo Amiibo, and a crystalline substance. For the acrylic paint and brush, I recommend the Daler Rowney Simply Art kit. And for the crystalline substance, I recommend Knockout Novelty's Bouncing Ball Craft Kit. However, I recommend you let it harden before you actually do the whole project. We want to turn this into this. This project won't require you to actually change around the Mewtwo or mess with it. It's more adding on to it. Alright, the first step is to get your crystal. After the ball has hardened, after you follow the steps on the craft kit, just use a knife and carve out a chunk of crystal. This step is pretty hard and may take a while. However, if you're persistent, eventually it will go down. In the meantime, let's start on the Mewtwo Amiibo. Shadow Mewtwo is entirely black with the exception of its tail and the crystal. So, get a bunch of black acrylic paint ready. Take your brush and start covering the Mewtwo in black. You have to be careful around the eyes, because if you cover the eyes, then just don't cover the eyes. Also, another tip, whatever you do, don't cover the tip of the tail in black. Yellow paint, it's hard enough to paint yellow on purple, but if you paint it's almost impossible to paint yellow on top of black. So don't do that. Be careful when you're doing the hands, because you have to get every angle. Otherwise, there's just going to be a speck of purple in your otherwise entirely black hand. Make sure to get it from all angles. While you're painting, you should be able to just grab onto the smash base for most of it. Again, make sure while you're doing this to try and avoid the smash base as much as possible. Doing the legs and the tail and stuff is the easiest part, because they're readily there and you can easily get to them. However, you have to be very, very focused and careful while you're doing the face. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a horrible looking face on your Shadow Mewtwo, and no one wants that. As you see, Mewtwo's Amiibo is already starting to look pretty good. However, still got a lot to go. Before you say that you're done with the painting step, make sure that from any angle you look at it, you won't see any purple. Because if at any angle you see even a dash of purple, that's going to annoy you. Alright, now I'm getting closer and closer to the face, which is the danger area. If you mess up the face, then that's going to be bad. You have to put a lot of focus and concentration into getting this part right. When you're doing the second neck tube thing, make sure that you get the inside of the tube as well. You have to get really close, get the right details. But if you paint over the eyes, then say sayonara to those eyes. Also be careful to get inside the mouth and nose area, because otherwise they'll stand out, which isn't what we're going for. Okay, you see I got a little bit in the eyes over here. If it's fresh enough, then you can just use a paper towel. You'll lose a bit of work, but if you're in the effort of saving the eyes, it's worth it. Just keep rubbing until all your work comes off. It's annoying, but it's better than losing it for good. Once you're sure that you saved the eyes, then it's back to painting. Gotta get the face area just right. You're also gonna have to go back over the upper body if you made this mistake, like I just did. Alright, on to the tail. For the tail, you wanna leave just enough. Make sure to be careful to try and not get much black on the base. Get it about there. Actually, no, a little bit higher. Then double check your work. Make sure to straighten out any paint globs that you may find. You want this to be pitch black, like the night. Any paint globs could lower the overall quality. When you're almost entirely certain that the piece is good, when you're overall confident with that, the next step is to clean off your brush a bit. Yeah, clean up your brush a lot. And then move on to the next step. You're done with the black. Now that you've cleaned up your brush and your hands, it's time to paint the tail. First out, start with the yellow. Most people want to start with the orange because it's closer to where you were last painting. But if you start with the orange, then your brush will be too darkened to really get the yellow. Make sure you get the tip with a lot of yellow. The tip is supposed to be bright yellow, so just cover it with as many coats as it takes to cover up the purple, and cover about half the space you've left for yourself with yellow. You might need to go over this a few times after you've let it dry to get a truly good yellow. But then again, we're painting over purple, so unless you have some sort of white primer that you'd prefer to use. It's just gonna be a lot of coats. It's okay if you go a little bit more than halfway, but you want to get about that much. And then just after a small wipe, you don't have to really clean the brush as much for this step, as much as you did the black. However, you do want to clean it off just a little bit. And then the orange, make sure all the purple is covered up by the orange. And then when the purple's entirely gone, then just make it so the orange is apparent, but that it starts to kind of mix a bit, like that. Now your Shadow Mewtwo is already looking pretty good, and you're close to being finished. However, you're not quite done. Your brush is entirely done at this point though. So you're finished. You don't need the black paint, the yellow paint, or the orange paint anymore. All that's left is to carve out a chunk of the crystal substance from the bouncy ball and glue it onto the shoulder, the right shoulder, be careful, of the Shadow Mewtwo Amiibo. However, before you can do that, you have to let the paint dry. So, I'll see you tomorrow. Alright, day 2. As you see, I'm now in a yellow shirt. The most important thing here is to take your piece of the bouncy ball that you have cut out at this point. Make sure that you get it all, like a shard of a, make sure you get it pointy, but also make sure that it's not too big. Like, if it's past this point in the arm, it should only be like this long, at most. Before you glue it, map out where you're going to put it so you don't mess it up. And then once you've decided, take some super glue or crazy glue or whatever kind of glue. I recommend a strong type of glue for this. Put the glue on the shard, get it in the right position, and hold it there. I recommend between the arm and the chest, like right where they meet. Make sure you hold it there for at least 30 seconds to make sure that it doesn't fall off as soon as you let go. It's all up to you which angle you use and how you tilt it. Oh yeah, you see, typically you just put it on there and end it, but if you prefer to use a gloss, then you should do the gloss first. If you use a gloss, you'll end up looking something like this. Well, if you don't, you'll end up looking like this. You see the difference? Anyway, that's how you make a Shadow Mewtwo Amiibo.